Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another On the Salt with Captain David Blinken. David, how are you?
I'm good, Marvin. How are you doing this September evening?
Just trying to stay out of trouble. We're actually getting a couple inches of rain out of this hurricane tropical depression that moved its way up the Gulf last week.
Yeah, that unnamed storm, I heard parts of the Carolinas got 20 inches in one day. Incredible.
Yeah, that was down east, but it's kind of amazing. I mean, not as much as we got, I guess, maybe 6 weeks ago with the other storm that came through and dumped like 5 inches. But interestingly enough, for the trout people, if you're on the other side of the mountains, say in western North Carolina, west of Asheville, they've gotten almost no rain in the last 2 months.
Incredible. We've had a pretty good drought, too, in September. We're well below our normal, but all that's going to change. We're going to get the remnants of that Carolina storm on Wednesday through Friday. So it should be interesting. No one's going to be fishing for a few days, I can tell you that.
Yeah, which kind of works out because you were telling me the false albacore haven't showed up yet.
No, they really haven't. I know there have been some all through up in eastern New England and some down in the Jersey Shore. And, if you go 5 to 10 miles out here, you can find a few mixed in with whales and bluefin tuna, but really it's not the inshore fishing that we normally get. And, the past 2-3 years they've been in early but they haven't really stuck around. So I'm hoping after this full moon, which is another big fish mover, I hope, once the storm clears, we find false albacore in our water here, hopefully.
Yeah, and so, to kind of get ready for false albacore, what are your suggestions kind of on rod, reel, terminal, tackle, and flies?
Well, I think the ideal setup or the ideal rod for false albacore is a 10 weight. I don't like to go like 8 or 9 weight because they are tough fighting fish. And, it's kind of cruel to take a long time to bring them in. So I like a 10 weight. And my favorite line generally is a floating line because they are surface feeders. But if I don't have a floating line, I'll usually use like a sink tip, like a Royal Wolf lost tip. And for my floating line, it would be a Royal Wolf Bermuda short because just want to be able to load the line quick and get it out there. You don't always have a lot of time when the fast albacores are feeding. They're explosive and they're quick. So a line you can count on to load the rod and shoot the line fast is pretty ideal. And leader wise, I'm usually either 20 or 25 pound for my tippet. Albies are not particularly picky. I mean, you do have those moments when they are, and maybe I'll drop down to 20. But for the most part, I'm fishing 9 to 10 foot leaders and usually terminating at 20 or 25.
Got it. And then, fishing what, poppers, game changers, deceivers, things like that?
Well, yeah. A lot of people really dig epoxy flies. I'm using acrylic that you dry with UV lights or blue light, and other things. Johnny King's Who Fly is really great, and I tie a fly called the Jellyfish that I tied on Masters of the Fly a few seasons ago that you can look at. Small clousers are great, bunny flies. I mean, there's a lot. Sometimes the albies will eat bigger things, and sometimes they'll eat smaller. I know people who only fish for them with chartreuse deceivers, but probably smaller ones. But I like, slightly off-white things like creamy color or kind of tan with maybe a little bit of peacock curl down the back, or just a little dark green flash. And I like splayed feathers on my flies a lot, especially for albies, as opposed to feathers that are mended together as a traditional deceivers have. And that's it. You don't need a lot. And occasionally, you can get them on white or chartreuse gurglers, which is a huge amount of fun. One of my most favorite ways to get them when they're looking up top, throwing a gurgler is a blast, and they hit them so hard they come right out of the water. It's fun.
Yeah, very neat. And it's funny you were talking about looking for lines that would allow you to load and cast quickly. It is really kind of run and gun fishing and kind of a slightly different amount of time pressure than some folks are probably used to. Any tips for people to kind of get that timing down to not false cast 20 times before they get the fly out there?
Well, here's the thing. Try not to run and gun, because run and gun means your line gets tangled up on the deck from the breeze of running and gunning. Try to get in an area where they keep coming up and just set yourself up in a long drift and wait till you can see the fish starting to pop, or wait till a group of them come up. Because false albacore, like bonito, they're not up and down. They'll feed along certain alleyways, especially if the bait's there. And take your time with the cast. I mean, when they are up, they're quick, but you can get yourself set up in a drift. I mean, sometimes you're gonna have to move here and there, but I wouldn't run and gun. I might more appropriately call it putter. Putter around, and then when you see a group of fish, just shut down and start casting. I think that's the best way to do it. And I fish albies a couple different ways. I'll fish them very often out of my skiff, where we might pull around shallow water for striper in the middle of the day, and then at the early part of the day and the late part of the day, we'll albie fish when the light is no good. And fishing them out of the skiff is very nice, because I'm fishing them usually in the western bays where there's not a lot of boats, so we can just take our time. And other times I'm fishing out of my larger boat out in the ocean, and you go in areas where you keep seeing these big schools, maybe rushing bait, or you look for a bait ball and just kind of hang around and, hope the albies will come up through. And that's sort of my basic set of tactics.
Yeah. So we'll say run and gun, but with a Zen flair.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got to tell you, a lot of, I understand how the weekend warriors are. They want to get to the albies first. They only have a couple days a week to fish, and they run and gun. But it's, in a way, with all due respect to them, and I respect the fact that they want to be out there fishing, it can put the fish down running and gunning. It's better if you just, get to the fish slowly and kind of study the area you're fishing really methodically, so you can get to a group of albies and have them stay up. You might not be the first one there, but you'll get your shots. And if you don't run and gun, you have a better chance of them staying up, feeding nicely on the bait, and it'll give you a chance to get to them without having to really rush your cast, so to speak.
Got it. And, folks, we love questions at the Articulate Fly. You can email me or DM me on social media. And actually, if you go to my Instagram profile, I just added a link where you can actually record your question, and we may actually play it on the fishing report. But we love questions. And if we use your question, I will send you some Articulate Fly swag, and they're going to enter a drawing for a Royal Wolf line of your choice. And David, before I let you go, you want to let folks know where they can catch up with you if they want to get on your boat, or you may, I can't remember if you've got any open slots in any of your trips kind of this late fall, winter, but let folks know about those too.
I have one open slot for a Mexico trip leaving on November 9th for tarpon. It's a 4-day tarpon trip in Campeche, and it's a great time of year to go. We start seeing slightly larger fish then. And people can reach me. They could just go to my website at davidblinken.com, and my phone number will be there, or they could just email me at davidblinken@gmail.com. And we'll try to slip you in. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Yeah. And then, for folks that don't know, you're an Eagles fan. So who knew?
Don't careful. Us Giants fans take homage to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Might have to come down there and make fun of your Panthers.
Oh, well, I'm not a Panthers fan. I never have been. But that's a topic for the next time. But folks, as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, David.
Tight lines, Marvin.